So the title of this video may seem like a joke to you, and it is a little tongue-in-cheek, but there is something serious I am trying to talk about here. The idea of Wigger Revolution came to me when I started to notice that amongst white youth, there's a tendency toward gravitating to rap music, especially white men. Now this isn't a new thing, of course, but it's been around for at least the late 80s and 90s. Now, I have a theory for why this is. Firstly, I believe that all white expressions of masculinity have been more or less destroyed. They've been endlessly critiqued by leftists who are in academia, run the media, and other individuals who are involved in that. And that's been going on for a while. And they've successfully either destroyed their representation in a positive sense, at the very least, because sometimes you will still see white forms of masculinity represented, but it's always represented in a negative connotation. Now, this has also extended to masculinity in general in music and media. It's less and less present. However, there does seem to be one last bastion of masculinity, or masculine expression at the very least, and that seems to be rap music. Now, why is that? Well, obviously, rap music is associated with blacks, specifically black men though, and the reason the left won't attack rap music is because attacking rap music is functionally, more or less, attacking black male expression. And if you're attacking black male expression, you're basically attacking black people at that point. It's almost seen as racist in their view to do this. Now, every once in a while, you will get a feminist who will critique this sort of subject nature of rap music. They'll often talk about misogyny present in rap music, the way that women are sort of objectified, etc. Some may even critique the reference to violence. But these are few and far between compared to the critique that's been applied to white masculine media. So, because there is no place for young white men to sort of externalize their natural masculine urge, they pivot to the only source they can see that can help them fulfill this desire, and that's often rap music, because it is transgressive, because masculinity does have a transgressive or just even aggressive element to it. You do see some of that with metal, of course. You see some of that with other forms of media, but it's more popular for that to be the case with rap music. So that is why we see this sort of gravitation of white men toward this sphere. And that's where you get the birth of the Wigger. Now, this revelation really came to me upon discovering this rapper named SD Kid. Now, when I discovered this rapper, I'm not really one who listens to rap music at all that much. But there was something specifically different about SD Kid. Now, if you go and, take the time out of your day to listen to SD Kid.
When I walk in the room, I cause panic. Once in me job, I got the pills, cause I'm manic. 4 minutes in the car, gotta zoom through the traffic. If I've got a problem, no 100 man on back. I walk tea with the jacket, you can tell it by the graphic. Never gonna stop until I buy me maar a paddock. Getting mad that I'm a rat, I can't stop it, I'm a addict. Lad, I've always been a mad kid, I'll never stop the racket. I'm a young gun, why when the money's gonna pile on. Kid that I can tell a fake friend from a mile off. Me brother said I'm blowing, I'm a fucking second time bomb. This girl's got a man, but I'm the one she wanna ride on.
You can see that, he has a Scouse accent, and this really gives us very unique character to the music. But really, it's the key to it lies in this accent. If he had an American accent, he probably wouldn't be as famous as he is. He only made music for, I think, maybe a year and a half before he got as famous as he did, specifically because he is very unique. But that being said, he is a perfect example of who I'm talking about. His rap music contains basically the typical subjects you'll find within rap music, and he is a white man who's gravitated towards this art form, probably for the same reason that, as being a Scouser, these people are known to be a little bit more abrasive, aggressive types, very masculine types. It's just sort of the stereotype associated with these people. So it's really no surprise that someone like that would gravitate towards this music. But the reason I bring this up is because I noticed that there's potential here. If we want to get young white men on our side, it would be a mistake to sort of alienate them by simply calling them degenerates or something. Now, I'm not saying you need to start smoking weed, sipping lean, and building a SoundCloud studio. Of course not. I don't recommend that. I could never picture myself doing such a thing. But what I am functionally saying is don't alienate these people. They could be useful in the future. Try to be friends with them. They are probably open more than you think they are. Even if you just listen to someone like SD Kid, you listen to his lyrics, he makes references to things that rappers of other groups probably wouldn't have the knowledge to reference. And I'm not saying he's an intellectual, of course. That's not what I'm saying. But you'll notice that like the lyricism, not just the delivery, but like the actual content of it, comes off as someone who's a little bit more knowledgeable than what you would expect for a SoundCloud rapper, frankly. By the way, I'm saying this as somebody who grew up around people like this, went to school with people who wanted to be like that, and I despised them. I thought they were the most disgusting, degenerate people to exist. I thought I was better than them, and I still think I am in many ways. I think most of us do. If you're watching this channel, you would probably agree with me. But I was able to humble myself and realize, well, there's certainly something there. There's a reason for this. And it would be foolish for me to ignore this phenomenon. As someone that is pro-European man, inside and outside of Europe, and I'm seeing this sort of gravitation toward this art form, I need to look into why that's happening. And, you know, I've explained why I think that's happening, but I think there needs to be a sort of, maybe not even a synthesis, but I guess maybe extending a hand toward these people. It can be as simple as just being friendly with them, introducing them to the stuff we do. Now, I'm not saying, you know, don't send them my videos. It's not gonna compute. Not because they're stupid necessarily, although that might have something to do with it, but it's gonna be boring. It's like giving me a car manual and expecting me to be interested in it. But perhaps try to take that energy, is what I'm saying, that they have, and channel it into something better if possible. I don't know how that would work necessarily. I'm just sort of thinking out loud, but I think there is like a potential there. There is a youthful, sort of aggressive, revolutionary spirit is what I've noticed. And I think if we don't tap into that, we are potentially losing something that might be useful in the future. So that's more or less what I mean by Wigger Revolution. I'm saying that there's a spirit there that could be useful in propagating some of our ideas potentially. Now, I understand as someone who is a nationalist or right-wing, whatever you want to call it, and I wouldn't blame you for this. I think it's a reasonable concern. You might find that kind of sphere itself revolting. And in many ways I do too. It really is. It's just about doing drugs and fucking bitches. Like, that's not fulfilling, but it's also just, it's very superficial. But most young men are somewhere like that anyway in general. So that abrasive sort of attitude that's present there, this desire to be shocking, to be basically saying fuck you to some other. You'll see this a lot in rap music, especially in SD Kid's music. I'm just using him as an example because he's very relevant right now. There is like a sort of fuck you energy, so to speak, in the lyrics. When he's rapping, for example, you'll notice he's either rapping about doing substances, but if he's not rapping about that, it's like he's rapping against someone else. And I'm sure this is inspired by somebody that he knows that he doesn't like, or maybe plethora of people that he knows that he doesn't like. But that's that abrasive energy that I'm specifically talking about. And that sort of fuck you energy, for lack of a better term, that abrasiveness can be channeled into something greater, I believe, if someone is smart enough to figure out how to do that. I'm not saying that's me, I'm not saying that's you, but it could work. You know, those are just some thoughts, some ruminations on Wigger energy, potentially Wigger Revolution. Don't take it too seriously, but just something to consider. We're gonna have to cut this part out because I have a fucking snot I have to swallow. It's gonna fucking bother me. 1 second. Alright, now we're back on track.